Hi, I'm Liam. To be honest, I don't just love money, I love the freedom it buys. I'm here to help you stop trading your life for a paycheck and start building a foundation that actually lasts. Look, I want you to take a second and think about your relaxing Sunday evening. You've got the AC humming, you're scrolling through a streaming library that has more content than you could watch in 3 lifetimes, and you just tapped a button to have a warm meal dropped at your doorstep by a stranger. It feels like you've made it, right? It feels like comfort. But here's the thing, and this is going to be a bit uncomfortable to hear. That feeling isn't actually comfort. It's a sedative. We have become a generation that is expertly trained to mistake stagnation for security. We are living in a golden age of convenience that is designed, quite literally, to keep you broke, compliant, and just happy enough that you never actually try to escape. It's what I call the comfort trap. See, the modern economy doesn't want you in rags. It wants you in a subscription-based hamster wheel where you're just wealthy enough to pay your bills, but too tired to build an actual legacy. If you feel like you're doing everything right, but your bank account hasn't moved in 3 years, you aren't stuck, you're being managed. The first trap is the one we all fall for because it feels like a reward. The "I deserve this" premium. You've had a long week. Your boss was a nightmare, the commute was soul-crushing, and you think, I work hard, I deserve this $150 dinner or this new gadget. Here's the reality. The marketing industry spends billions of dollars every year specifically to weaponize your fatigue against your finances. When you're tired, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles logic, basically goes on vacation, leaving your emotional brain to make the calls. A study from the Journal of Consumer Research actually found that consumers are willing to pay up to 40% more for the exact same products when they are in a state of ego depletion or mental tiredness. You aren't treating yourself, you're being harvested. You're trading your future freedom for a 20-minute dopamine hit because you're too exhausted to realize that the meal you deserved just cost you 3 hours of your life that you'll never get back. It's like trying to fill a leaking bucket by pouring more water in instead of just plugging the hole. Then we have the safe career path. This is the big one. We've been told since we were 5 years old that the goal is a steady paycheck and a 401k. But look around. In a world of generative AI and rapid corporate restructuring, safe is the most dangerous place you can be. Relying on a single source of income is like standing on a one-legged stool and acting shocked when someone nudges you. If one person, your manager, has the power to end your ability to pay your mortgage with a single "we're going in a different direction" email, you aren't secure. You're a hostage. Real security isn't a salary. It's the ability to generate value independently of any one employer. Most people spend 40 hours a week building someone else's dream because they're afraid of the risk of starting their own thing. Yet they don't realize that the ultimate risk is having zero control over their own livelihood. This leads right into the third trap, which is the zero-friction life. We love convenience. We love the apps that do our grocery shopping, the services that wash our cars, and the software that automates our thoughts. But convenience has a hidden tax. When you remove all friction from your life, you also remove the necessity for growth. Growth requires resistance. Think about it like a muscle. If you never lift anything heavy, your muscles atrophy. If you never have to navigate a difficult financial decision or learn a hard skill because you can just pay someone else to do it, your financial muscles wither away. We are spending a fortune to remain incompetent. We pay a 30% markup on food delivery just so we don't have to drive 5 minutes, and then we wonder why we don't have the capital to invest. You're bleeding out through 1,000 small cuts of convenience and calling it a high standard of living. Let's talk about the upgrading your identity trap. This is when your lifestyle expands the moment your income does. You get a $5,000 raise, and suddenly your 3-year-old car feels like a piece of junk. You move into a better neighborhood, and suddenly your furniture looks cheap. This is the hedonic treadmill in full effect. The problem is that most people don't buy things because they need them. They buy them to signal to people they don't even like that they are doing well. It's a race with no finish line. If your expenses always rise to meet your income, you are effectively poor, no matter how many zeros are on your paycheck. You're just a high-class tenant in a life you don't actually own. True wealth is the gap between what you earn and how you live. If that gap is zero, you're just a glorified middleman for your creditors.
And then there's the trap of productive procrastination. This one is sneaky because it feels like work. You're watching the videos, you're reading the books, you're researching the market. You feel busy. You feel like you're making progress. But here's the cold, hard truth. Learning without execution is just another form of entertainment. It's edutainment. You're getting a hit of "I'm a smart person" chemicals in your brain without actually taking the risk of failing. The market doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you do. You can spend 10 years studying the mechanics of a bicycle, but you'll never learn to ride until you actually fall off a few times. Most people stay in the learning phase forever because it's comfortable. It's safe. There's no rejection in a textbook, but there's also no profit. The sixth trap is the minimum payment mentality. This isn't just about credit cards, it's a philosophy. It's doing just enough to not get fired, just enough to keep the relationship going, just enough to stay healthy. We live in a world that celebrates the average, but average is a failing grade in the new economy. If you are doing what everyone else is doing, you will get what everyone else has, which, according to recent stats, is less than $1,000 in emergency savings and a mountain of anxiety. When you settle for good enough, you are essentially choosing a slow decay. You're choosing to stay in the lukewarm water until it eventually boils. Finally, the most dangerous trap of all, the someday delusion. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll get serious about my budget. Someday when things settle down. Look, I've got news for you. Things are never going to settle down. Life is a series of storms punctuated by brief moments of chaos. If you're waiting for the perfect time to take control of your financial destiny, you're waiting for a ghost. The perfect time is a myth, invented by your fear to keep you from ever having to try and potentially fail. Every day you spend in the comfort of your current situation is a day you are actively choosing to stay small. You have to realize that the walls of your comfort zone aren't there to protect you, they're there to keep you in. The AC, the Netflix, the delivery apps, they are the velvet curtains of a cage. You don't need more comfort, you need more challenge. You need to start looking at your life through the lens of an investor, not a consumer. Ask yourself, is this purchase, this habit, or this safe job an asset that grows, or is it a liability that consumes my time and energy? It's time to stop calling your stagnation stability. It's time to get a little uncomfortable, because that's the only place where wealth is actually built. You have the tools, you have the information, and now you have the awareness. The only thing left to do is to stop being so comfortable with being broke. Go out there and start building something that doesn't depend on a someday that's never coming.